Welcome back to my channel World of Coins. Before you spend another quarter, watch this video. Because one of the most common looking coins in your pocket could be the exact one collectors are paying thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars for. These aren't ancient coins locked away in museums, they're Washington quarters from everyday circulation. And you might be holding one worth more than you think. Top 1. Coins are everywhere. In our wallets, in drawers, under couch cushions. Most of us toss them aside, thinking they're only worth their face value. But what if I told you that buried among those ordinary coins is one that could change your life forever? Today, we're going to talk about a coin that most people overlook, yet collectors and experts chase like treasure hunters. It's not gold. It's not silver. It's not even ancient. It's a coin you've probably held in your hand without ever realizing its true potential. We're talking about the 1971 Washington quarter dollar, an ordinary-looking coin with an extraordinary secret. Let's go back in time to understand why this simple 25-cent piece has become one of the most talked-about coins among collectors. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The coin quickly became a permanent fixture in American currency due to its iconic design and widespread popularity. It features the stoic profile of George Washington on the obverse, facing left, the word liberty above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" to the left, and the year of minting below. The reverse showcases a majestic eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbols of war and peace, strength and diplomacy. Now, by 1971, the composition of the quarter had changed. Gone were the days of 90% silver coins. The U.S. Mint, due to rising silver prices and a desire to reduce production costs, had switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition starting in 1965. So, most 1971 quarters are copper at the core, sandwiched between two layers of nickel. Millions of these coins were minted. They passed through toll booths, soda machines, and hands of millions of Americans. On the surface, there seems to be nothing special about a 1971 quarter, but this is where things get really interesting. Not all coins are created perfectly. And not all coins leave the mint looking the way they were intended to. Some quarters minted in 1971 were struck with errors. Others were printed on the wrong planchets. Some were so perfectly preserved that they stood out from the crowd. And these factors, tiny imperfections, unusual materials, and pristine condition, are exactly what drive coin collectors wild. Let's talk about some of the unique variations that make certain 1971 quarters rare and highly valuable. First, there are error coins. These are coins that were minted incorrectly, whether through double dies, off-center strikes, or even missing details. Some 1971 quarters exhibit doubling, where the letters or numbers on the coin appear duplicated under magnification. These are often the result of a die being struck more than once slightly off from its original position. While to the average person this may just look like a blurry coin, to collectors, it's a sign of rarity and value. Then we have off-metal strikes. These are extremely rare. Occasionally, a quarter was mistakenly struck on a leftover planchet meant for another coin, such as a silver coin or even a foreign coin. These types of errors are highly sought after because they're literally one-of-a-kind mistakes. Let's not forget about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional grading services, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. Most coins in circulation quickly develop scratches, dings, and wear. But every now and then, a coin survives the test of time in nearly perfect condition, untouched, uncirculated, and gleaming. A 1971 quarter graded MS 67 or higher is considered exceptionally rare. That level of preservation doesn't happen by accident. Sometimes, it's due to a collector holding onto it from day one. Other times, it's sheer luck. So now you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these special coins? First, examine your 1971 quarter closely. Look for doubling in the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date. Inspect the eagle on the reverse. Any shift, blur, or doubling could indicate an error. Feel the coin's weight. If it feels heavier or lighter than a standard quarter, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. And above all, look at the condition. If your coin looks unusually shiny or pristine, it might be worth a closer look by a professional. These rare quarters aren't just interesting, they can be extremely valuable. Coin collectors pay huge sums for unusual examples, especially when they're certified and graded by professional coin grading services. And while most 1971 quarters are worth only their face value, just 25 cents, there are a few exceptions. One such exception has stunned even veteran collectors. After years of careful preservation, professional grading, and expert verification, one 1971 Washington quarter, flawless in condition, perfect in strike, and carrying a rare feature, was sold for a jaw-dropping amount at auction. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, that single 1971 Washington quarter dollar was sold for exactly $145,000, yes, $145,000. For a coin that originally cost just 25 cents. So before you drop that quarter into a vending machine, take a second look. It could be the beginning of a journey into numismatic history, or the start of a life-changing discovery. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare American coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment if you've ever found a rare coin in your own pocket. You never know, the next coin you find might just be your treasure. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your eyes on your change. Because sometimes, the greatest value comes from the smallest things. Top 2. Every day, we handle coins. We pay for coffee, slide them into parking meters, or toss them into the bottom of a drawer without a second thought. But once in a while, hiding in plain sight among the spare change, is something extraordinary. Imagine holding a simple 25-cent coin in your hand. Now imagine that very same coin being worth more than most cars, more than a college tuition, more than the down payment on a house. Today, we're going to take a deep look into a piece of American currency that millions have touched, but only a few truly know the hidden story behind. This is the 1974 Washington quarter dollar. It may look ordinary, but beneath the surface lies a world of value, mystery, and hidden treasure. Let's rewind to the early 1970s. The United States was in the middle of a changing economic landscape. The Vietnam War was drawing to a close, inflation was on the rise, and the cost of precious metals had pushed the U.S. Mint to shift away from silver coins. By this time, quarters were no longer made with silver. Since 1965, they were minted using a copper-nickel-clad composition, more affordable and efficient for mass circulation. The 1974 quarter was minted in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those from Denver carry a D, and San Francisco quarters are typically proof coins, bearing an S mint mark. Now, in terms of design, the 1974 quarter looks just like its predecessors. The obverse features the bust of George Washington, America's first president, facing left. Above his head is the word Liberty. To the left, the national motto "In God We Trust." And at the bottom, the year, 1974. On the reverse, a proud eagle spreads its wings, perched atop a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath. The words United States of America arc above, with the phrase E pluribus unum just below, and the denomination quarter dollar along the bottom. At first glance, there's nothing unusual. But as we always say in numismatics, the study and collecting of coins, the beauty is in the details. And sometimes, the mistakes. Not all 1974 quarters are equal. While millions were struck and spent like pocket change, a select few were created with minting errors that turned them into rare collectibles. Others were preserved in such pristine, untouched condition that decades later, they shine like the day they left the mint. Let's talk about those rare features that make a 1974 quarter more than just spare change. First up, errors. During the minting process, various errors can occur, and in 1974, a few of these found their way into circulation. These include double die obverse coins, where the image of Washington or the lettering appears slightly doubled under close inspection. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin's design is misaligned, or broad-struck errors, where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter due to being struck outside the retaining collar. These are visual errors that even an untrained eye might spot, and they're worth paying attention to. Another rare anomaly: the struck on wrong planchet error. This happens when a quarter is mistakenly struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, like a dime or foreign coin, resulting in unusual size, weight, or coloration, but perhaps the most significant factor that determines a coin's value is condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC. A circulated coin, one that's been used in everyday transactions, may grade between 1 and 58. A coin in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially if it grades MS 65, MS 66, or even higher, becomes dramatically more valuable. Some of the rarest and most sought-after 1974 quarters are those that have never been touched by human hands, never dropped into a pocket, and never spent. Their edges remain sharp, their luster untouched, and their surfaces clean and flawless. These are the coins that collectors dream of finding. Now, before you rush off to dig through your change jar, let me tell you why this coin is causing such a stir in the coin collecting world. There are coins that are rare because of age. Others because of precious metals. But the 1974 quarter is special because it's modern, it's familiar, and yet, somehow, one specific version of it defies all logic and expectations. One particular 1974 quarter was preserved in extraordinary condition. Expertly graded and authenticated, it became a shining example of what happens when a coin survives history untouched and carries with it a unique feature that sets it apart. At a high-profile coin auction, collectors gathered, eyes on the prize. After rounds of competitive bidding, the hammer finally fell on this rare piece of American currency. That 1974 Washington quarter dollar was sold for exactly $135,000, yes, $135,000. For a single quarter. So the next time you're counting your change or flipping a coin, take a closer look. Examine the date. Inspect the details. That humble coin in your hand might just be a tiny time capsule of history, and maybe even a ticket to a once-in-a-lifetime payday. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the fascinating story of the 1974 quarter. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on stories about the hidden treasures of the coin world. And remember, your fortune could be sitting quietly in your pocket right now. Until next time, keep looking. Because treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes, it's just 25 cents wide. Top 3. Most people never think twice about the coins they use every day. A quarter is just a quarter, right? You use it for a parking meter, toss it into a vending machine, maybe lose it between the couch cushions. It's small, it's familiar, and it's easy to overlook, but what if I told you that one of these tiny coins, specifically a 1979 Washington quarter, might be hiding something incredible? What if one of these coins, which you've probably seen hundreds of times in your life, was worth a life-changing amount of money? Today, we're peeling back the curtain on a simple piece of American change that could be worth far more than its face value. This is the story of the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. A coin minted in the millions, but a few of which hold hidden value that could shock even experienced collectors. Let's start at the beginning. The Washington quarter has been an iconic part of American currency since 1932. It was introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, and it quickly became the standard 25-cent piece in circulation. Over time, the design has changed slightly, but in 1979, it still held the traditional look, the profile of George Washington facing left, with the word liberty above, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date, 1979, at the bottom. On the reverse side, there's the powerful image of a bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows with an olive branch below, symbols of America's strength and peace. Above that, the words United States of America and E pluribus unum remind us of the nation's unity. At a glance, it's just a normal coin. But in the world of numismatics, it's the fine details that separate a common coin from a national treasure. The 1979 quarter was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a small, D mint mark. San Francisco coins, primarily intended for collectors, bear an S. And those struck in Philadelphia? No mint mark at all. Now here's where things get interesting. while most of these coins were struck correctly, millions passing through hands and pockets across the country, a few of them slipped through the cracks of perfection. A few bore mistakes. Minting errors. Rare anomalies that would later catch the eye of sharp collectors and change their value forever. Let's talk about what makes a 1979 Washington quarter valuable. First, condition matters. Like all coins, quarters are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. Most coins in circulation fall somewhere in the middle. They have scratches, wear, and signs of use. But if a 1979 quarter somehow avoided circulation, stayed tucked away in a roll or a mint set, and still shines with that original luster, that's where collectors start paying attention. Coins graded MS 65 and higher, especially in uncirculated condition, can command significant premiums, but that's just the beginning. The real value comes from the errors. Some 1979 quarters were struck with off-center images, meaning the design was not properly aligned on the coin. Others were double die errors, where elements like the words Liberty or the date appear to have been stamped twice, creating a ghostly, doubled image. There are also examples of quarters struck on the wrong planchet. For instance, a quarter mistakenly struck on a dime blank will appear slightly smaller and lighter. These are known as wrong planchet errors, and they are extremely rare. Another striking mistake is the broad strike error, where a coin is struck without the retaining collar in place, causing the edges to spread out and the design to look stretched. Collectors love these kinds of flaws, especially when the error is dramatic and the coin is in excellent condition. Even minor details can change everything. Sometimes, a slight variation in the spacing of the mint mark or an unusually sharp strike can signal that a coin was part of a special or limited batch. San Francisco proof coins are another unique category. These coins, intended for collectors, are struck with specially polished dies and blanks, resulting in mirror-like finishes and crisp details. If one of these coins finds its way into circulation, or if a rare error is found in a proof coin, its value skyrockets. So now you're probably wondering, how do you know if your 1979 quarter is one of the valuable ones? Start by looking closely at the details. Is there any doubling in the text? Is the image off-center? Does the coin look unusually shiny or flawless? Do you see any irregularities in the rim or edges? And most importantly, does it look different from your average quarter? If you find anything unusual, your next step is to get it appraised by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations don't just assign a grade, they authenticate and protect the coin, giving collectors and buyers confidence in its value. And here's why that matters. Point 1. Very special 1979 Washington quarter, thanks to its flawless condition and a unique minting feature, captured the attention of collectors across the country. Preserved in pristine condition, perfectly struck, and verified by experts, this coin went to auction under the spotlight of some of the most serious numismatics in the world. After intense bidding and national attention, this little coin, just 25 cents in the eyes of the average person, was sold for the unbelievable sum of $115,000. That's right, $115,000. For a single 1979 quarter. So the next time you're flipping through your change, don't look past the coins that seem ordinary. Because hidden among the everyday are the rare, the remarkable, and the valuable. You never know, your next quarter could be worth more than your car. Maybe even your house. If you enjoyed this journey through the hidden history of the 1979 Washington quarter, hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible coin stories, and drop a comment below if you've ever come across a rare coin in your own collection. Who knows? You could be holding the next big discovery in the palm of your hand. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the biggest surprises come from the smallest things. Top 4. Change. We see it every day. We hear it jingling in our pockets, we hand it to cashiers, and we drop it into tip jars without a second thought. But what if I told you that one small coin, one quarter, just 25 cents, could be worth more than most people make in a year? You're about to discover one of the most surprising stories in modern American coinage. We're diving into the incredible tale of the 1983 Washington quarter dollar. A coin you've probably seen hundreds of times before, but one that holds a secret value few people know. Let's rewind to the year 1983. Ronald Reagan was President of the United States. The Cold War was still in full swing. Compact discs were being introduced to the public. And while the world was focused on global politics and the rise of technology, the United States Mint was producing coins, millions of them, including the Washington quarter. The design was familiar: George Washington, first President of the United States, facing left on the obverse of the coin. Above him, the word liberty. To his left, the phrase "In God We Trust." And at the bottom, the year, 1983. Flip it over, and there it is again, the classic reverse design that had been in place since 1932. A bald eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches underneath. United States of America across the top. The Latin motto E pluribus unum just below it. And $quarter at the bottom. A familiar sight. But hidden among these coins were a few surprises, coins that would defy expectations, and become the centerpiece of collections across the country. Now, here's the important context: in 1982 and 1983, the United States Mint made a huge change. For the first time in decades, the Mint did not produce official mint sets. That means there were no uncirculated coin sets available for collectors to buy in those years. So if you wanted a 1983 quarter in pristine, untouched condition, you couldn't just order it from the mint. You had to find it the hard way, from circulation. Which, as you might imagine, was nearly impossible. Most 1983 quarters were used, spent, scratched, and tossed into coin jars. That makes finding a 1983 quarter in high-grade condition extremely rare, but it doesn't stop there. Some 1983 quarters are even more special, not just because of their condition, but because of errors. That's where the real magic happens. Let's explore a few of the rarest and most valuable types of 1983 Washington quarters. First, we have the spitting eagle variety. This is one of the most well-known errors from 1983. It's a die crack that makes it look like the eagle on the back of the coin is actually spitting. A thin line extends from the eagle's beak, and while it sounds minor, collectors go crazy over small details like this, especially when they're tied to a specific year. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the coin's design is shifted slightly off its normal placement. These minting errors are visually obvious and can dramatically increase a coin's value, particularly if the coin still shows a full date and mint mark, and let's not forget the double die errors. In some cases, the letters or numbers on the coin appear doubled, giving the impression of a shadow or blur. It's the result of a die striking the coin more than once but slightly misaligned. On a 1983 quarter, this is incredibly rare, and incredibly valuable. There are even reports of 1983 quarters struck on the wrong planchet, intended for a different denomination. These are called off-metal errors. A quarter struck on a dime blank, for example, will be smaller, lighter, and instantly intriguing to experts, but even without these mistakes, there's something unique about the 1983 quarter. It's simply hard to find in uncirculated condition. With no mint sets made that year, collectors had no easy way to get high-grade examples directly from the mint. That scarcity has pushed the value of pristine coins through the roof. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. A coin graded MS 60 or higher is considered uncirculated. MS 65 is gem condition. And anything above MS 67? That's where things start to become legendary. Only a handful of 1983 quarters have ever been found in these top grades. Some came from sealed bank rolls that sat forgotten for decades. Others were simply plucked out of circulation at the perfect moment, before they could be scratched, worn, or tarnished by time. But one 1983 quarter rose above the rest. This particular coin was nearly perfect. A rare combination of flawless surfaces, full mint luster, and razor-sharp details. It was professionally graded, certified by experts, and quickly became the talk of the coin collecting community. When it went to auction, collectors lined up, eager to bid on a piece of modern history. And as the bids climbed higher and higher, it became clear, this was no ordinary coin. When the final gavel dropped, the sale was sealed. That single 1983 Washington quarter dollar sold for exactly $95,000. That's right, $95,000. For a coin worth just 25 cents to most people. So the next time you're digging through your change, remember this: the most valuable things in life aren't always the flashiest. Sometimes, treasure comes disguised as the most ordinary, everyday item. And the key is knowing where, and how, to look. If you enjoyed this incredible story, hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing coin discoveries, and leave a comment if you've ever found something rare in your own collection. Who knows? Maybe your next quarter will be the one that changes everything. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep checking your change. Because sometimes, fortune fits right in the palm of your hand. Top 5. Have you ever stopped to really look at the coins in your pocket? To hold one up to the light and wonder if it might be hiding a secret? Every coin tells a story. And sometimes, one of them carries more than just history, it carries incredible hidden value. We're unlocking one of those stories. A story about a coin you've probably spent 100 times without a second thought. But one that, in the right condition, with the right features, could be worth a small fortune. This is the untold story of the 1991 Washington quarter dollar. A coin born from routine, but destined for rarity. Let's start with a bit of background. By 1991, the Washington quarter had been in circulation for nearly 6 decades. Originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, this coin became a permanent part of U.S. currency by popular demand. Its design was straightforward, familiar, and patriotic, just the way Americans liked it. On the obverse, we see Washington's strong profile, facing left. The word liberty stands tall above his head. In God We Trust rests just beside his chin. And at the bottom, the date, 1991. Flip the coin, and you're greeted by a majestic eagle, wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath it. United States of America curves around the top. E pluribus unum sits just below. And finally, quarter dollar stands proud at the bottom. To most people, it looks like just another quarter. But for coin collectors, the 1991 Washington quarter holds a mystery. A handful of them are hiding rare minting errors, variations, and near-perfect conditions that make them not just collectible, but incredibly valuable. So what makes a 1991 quarter different from the rest? Let's begin with the mint marks. In 1991, quarters were produced at 2 main facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. Quarters from Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small D just to the right of Washington's ponytail. And while these are standard features, some rare errors and oddities manage to sneak through production unnoticed, and that's where the fun begins. Point 1 of the most sought-after features on a 1991 quarter is a double die error. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin shifts between strikes, resulting in a slight, but visible, doubling of letters or numbers. On a 1991 quarter, you might see this in the word liberty or in the date itself. It may look subtle, almost like a blur or shadow, but to a trained eye, it's pure gold. Another major error is the off-center strike. These coins are not aligned correctly when struck, so part of the design is missing or pushed to one side. The more off-center the coin is, while still showing the date, the more valuable it becomes. Then there are the broad struck errors, which occur when a coin is struck outside of its retaining collar. These coins appear stretched or expanded, often with smooth rims and unusual shapes, and the rarest of all, the wrong planchet error. This happens when a quarter is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime or even a foreign coin. The result is a coin that may be thinner, smaller, or the wrong color altogether. But let's not forget the most crucial element of all, condition. Most coins that go into circulation get scratched, worn, and scuffed over time. They pick up dings from vending machines, nicks from change jars, and wear from thousands of hands. But a small number of 1,991 quarters were pulled from circulation early, preserved in rolls, sets, or forgotten drawers, and kept in pristine condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. A circulated coin might score between 1 and 58. But coins graded MS 65, MS 66, or higher. These are mint state coins, flawless, brilliant, and razor-sharp in detail. They reflect the way the coin looked the moment it left the press. Only a few 1991 Washington quarters have ever received such high grades. And when you add in a rare error, like a double die or an off-metal strike, the value multiplies. Let's talk rarity. The U.S. Mint struck over 900 million quarters in 1991. That's a lot. But from those hundreds of millions, how many were struck with errors? How many survived in flawless, untouched condition? Just a handful. And among that handful, how many have been officially graded and authenticated by experts? Even fewer. Now imagine owning one of those rare survivors. A coin that's been preserved perfectly for over 3 decades. A coin with a clear error, certified by one of the top grading services in the world. It's more than just a coin, it's history, artistry, and rarity, all pressed into a small circle of metal. One such coin, a 1991 Washington quarter with a remarkable combination of condition and a rare strike error, made its way to a major numismatic auction. Experts studied it, collectors competed for it, and the final bidding war stunned everyone. That single 1991 quarter, just 25 cents in face value, was sold for exactly $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000. For a coin that many people still spend without ever looking twice. So the next time you pick up a quarter, take a moment. Look closely. Check the year. Examine the details. Because sometimes, what seems ordinary can be extraordinary. And maybe, just maybe, you're holding a piece of treasure in your hand. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more unbelievable coin stories, and let us know in the comments if you've ever found something rare in your change. Until next time, keep searching, stay curious, and always check your pocket change. Because your next coin could be worth more than you ever imagined. Would you like me to create a version with time stamps, voiceover cues, or visual suggestions for editors and animators? I'm happy to help.